Hello and welcome back to another episode of remember that kinda sorta Pokemon-like mobile game in the early 2010s that was shut down with no explanation? Please tell me I'm not the only one. I should probably shorten that title, but yes, the last time we talked about this subject, it was about Mono Monsters, over 1 year ago now. Wow, my upload schedule sucks.
Know your f***ing place, trash.
I have had this video planned since I started my channel, and I'm glad I'm finally executing on it, but it's just sad it took this long. Also, this might be the last episode in this unofficial series because this next game is the only other one I have a distinct memory of, that game being Geomon. I've actually thought about just stopping this kind of video at Mono Monsters since I'm pretty sure that game was the most well known in its space, but there's something about Geomon that really makes it hard not to talk about. And if you read the title, which you obviously did, you would know it had some Pokemon Go-like functions years before Pokemon Go was ever a thing. I think that alone is worth the deep dive, even if the audience for this may not be as large as it was for the Mono Monsters video. Although, I was amazed to see some comments mentioning Geomon in that video, so this one's for you guys. So, footage and general information of the game will be even more sparse than it was for the Mono Monsters video, and that's because there aren't as many resources for it. On YouTube, there's like one trailer and a couple old gameplay videos, but that's about it. Online, there is one major article regarding the game that we will go through in a little bit, as well as an unfinished fandom wiki page with some additional assets and info. There is also a Geomon Twitter account which has absolutely nothing to it except for a dead iTunes link. I was able to pull some interesting things from archived web pages for Geomon as well, but again, just more breadcrumbs and not the whole loaf. I do sincerely apologize in advance if many of the same clips and images appear multiple times throughout this video. I don't have much to work with here. In addition to that, with the information on the game being so blurry and limited, I do also apologize for any potential misinformation in this video. If I come across any corrections after the fact, I will try to provide them in the comments section. Also, a big shout out to Karate Odyssey Man on the Lost Media Wiki for compiling the aforementioned resources together in one comprehensive post. I will leave the link to their forum post in case you guys want to continue the conversation there and provide other resources. We're about to get into it, but before we do, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel. I really want to make a push in consistently uploading videos again, and any support to get them back out there means the world to me. But with that out of the way, let's dive into the world of Geomon. On October 1st, 2010, Geomon was released to the world on iOS devices from Loki Studios, a small development team that sought to be the pioneers of augmented reality, or AR, games. Stanford University students at the time, the Loki Studios team had a vision to combine their lifelong love for games, especially creature collecting games like Pokemon, with their learned skills in game design to create something that would be like nothing that ever came before it. And Geomon, their flagship title, was certainly that. It goes without saying that it was forging the path ahead for the future of AR games on mobile devices. So, how exactly was it doing that? Well, let's get into the game now. It's not an AR game in the sense that it would actually augment your reality, capable of placing creatures in your room like in Pokemon Go. Instead, the game interacted and depended on your reality, and I'll make that make sense in just a second. The main screen players would be on in the game was this: a large radar that was synced up to your physical location in the real world, and it would ping Geomon in your area. The Geomon actually go by a different name in the game's narrative. They are called Espers. We'll go into the in-game lore surrounding the Espers in a minute, but let's continue with the gameplay loop. Now, the kinds of Espers you would encounter varied based on many factors. From what I understand, the time of day, temperature, weather, physical environment, season, and even moon phase would spawn different Espers in your area. And if that sounds like Pokemon Go, well, yeah, it is. The blips have different colors indicating different levels of difficulty. Players could interact with a blip on the radar and initiate a battle with an Esper that functions very much like a Pokemon battle. Players have options to run away, attack, capture, swap team members, and use consumables. The battles are turn-based and move uses are dictated by an energy system where moves require a certain amount of energy to perform, the more powerful ones taking more energy. If energy is low, Espers can just use a free basic attack to recover some. Also, like Pokemon, Espers have types, having a sort of rock, paper, scissors battle style with every Esper having their own strengths and weaknesses against certain types. Players can defeat the wild Esper for experience points and item drops, or they can capture it and add it to their team. Back to the radar screen. On the right side of it, you have a few menu options. The Items tab shows your item inventory, including consumables, crystals, which are the Pokeball equivalent in this game, XP boosts, and even personas, which I think are alternate skins for your Espers. The Geomon/Espers tab is pretty self-explanatory. Players could see all the Espers they've captured and build a team of 3 from them. I've seen in what I believe are earlier versions of the game, the team count going up to 5 and the energy system during battle displayed through a bar rather than individual points. Not 100% sure on that though. The store accesses the in-game store where I believe in-app purchases can be made. The Ops tab gives players access to missions they have to complete, as well as access to PvP and trading, so the game did in fact have some multiplayer capabilities. But that is the core gameplay loop of Geomon. Discover and capture the over 100 Espers, build up a strong team, complete missions, play with your friends, all for the in-game narrative of studying the Espers and the Thymosphere. So let's get into that now. There is like an actual lore to this game which I find really fascinating. So the player characters take up jobs as field agents for an organization known as Esper Corp, an organization that is dedicated to research of the Espers which are found in the Thymosphere, this spirit world that functions like humanity's collective mindscape. To quote the Esper Corp webpage, which acts like it takes place in the game's universe, these Espers are animals made of pure mental energy. They're not bound by the physical laws of this world, but rather the limits of our collective imagination. All the legends and stories and ideas ever conceived over the history of mankind are manifested as energy in the spirit world, known as the Thymosphere. In this invisible, ever-present layer of thought and emotion, ideas truly have power. So yeah, the Espers are basically figments of our imagination come to life. Our collective thoughts give them power and form, which is why various cryptids and mythological creatures from across the globe show up as Espers. I think that is a really cool lore reason for their appearances, and it makes sense why they are called Espers, since that word references extrasensory telepathy stuff. It also goes hand in hand with Esper Corp's slogan, "Reveal the Unreal." Some of these guys were really cool too. They can vary in art style, because I think many of them are from users quote-unquote discovering them, which I honestly think is pretty neat. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the variety in art styles, as well as the different agent names on the Esper Discovery credits, leads me to believe that. The vast array of looks also kinda helps give off the vibe of these creatures being part of different people's imaginations. But yeah, the designs and origins of the Espers range from cryptids, creatures from mythology and fantasy, zodiac signs, robots, inanimate objects, holiday mascots, and fun little animal guys. Including my goat Buster. You will forever be missed, little one. Actually, let's take a few moments to remember some incredible Esper designs. mean, the range of designs is hilarious. You go from cryptid horrors like the Wendigo to something completely random and stupid in the best way possible, like Chilla. The Esper Corp website also hosted a blog that the members of Esper Corp would make posts on, announcing game updates and new Espers in the guise of something like a research breakthrough or briefing. The Esper research effort is driven by the Esper Corp team, who may embody some of the characteristics of the actual development team for Geomon. The organization is led by Dr. Cornelius Rhine, who made the discovery of the Espers and the Thymosphere. Dr. Rhine recruits the players as field agents, having them complete field research tasks to help gain a deeper understanding of the world of the Espers. Now, what does that sound like? Yeah, it sounds like Pokémon GO, which obviously isn't the only resemblance these games share. The fact that Geomon utilized your phone's physical location to determine what Espers you found years before Pokemon Go was even a thing is insane to me. I mean, the concept is basically the same in both games, but the execution is quite different. Pokemon Go was made for players to explore, to get your body moving, hitting points of interest with the Pokestops, and interacting with other players. Geomon's system was admittedly more rudimentary and less interactive, but Pokemon Go is also just a much bigger game than Geomon ever was. Geomon was made by a small group of college students, and they made, if memory serves, one of the coolest mobile games I've ever played. The idea of geolocation in gaming was revolutionary to kid me, and I was addicted for the short time the game was around. I loved seeing all the Esper designs and would go to interesting lengths to get my hands on them. I remember distinctly that I really wanted Buster, the literal dust bunny Esper, and in my head I knew this game reacted to my device's environment, so I hatched a genius idea to find and capture my own Buster, which involved me putting the family iPad under the couch where the floor was all dirty and dusty in hopes that it would spawn a Buster, and out of pure coincidence, I think that day one of them showed up and I was able to get it. I don't know why, even today, this guy is still like one of my favorites. It is quite sad I'll never see him again since the game has been shut down since 2013. So why did that happen? Well, we know what caused it, or at least what a major contributor to it was, and that can be found in this 2016 International Business Times article. This article notes that Geomon became quite the success for the time, reaching 1 million users and becoming profitable, which apparently caught the eye of Yahoo, who at the time was looking for a big break due to declining revenues. And they saw Loki Studios as an opportunity. The small staff at Loki Studios was bought out, more so for their talent rather than for the product of Geomon. They went to work with Yahoo, but Geomon had to be left behind, so as a result, the game had to be taken down. This is further corroborated from the last update to the Loki Studios webpage with a farewell letter from the team, thanking the fans for their support on the incredible journey that was Geomon. Since then, Geomon has just been gone. Maybe if we think about it enough, it could become an Esper and we could play it again because, man, this game was great. Despite it not having the visual flair and charming animations of Mino monsters, I remember having just as much fun with Geomon. For the time, the crossover between games and reality was largely unexplored, and Loki Studios made a huge development in that space with Geomon, laying the groundwork for what is now one of the most celebrated milestones for mobile gaming. However, Loki Studios and Geomon never got to take part in the huge success that this framework would become. The game was taken offline in the middle of 2013, marking a near 3-year run of the game that, despite it being short-lived, left quite the impact on many people, including myself. I can't help but wonder if Geomon had any influence on the conception of Pokemon Go. Ingress from Niantic was around not too long after Geomon's release, and the Pokemon Go talks could have just started from that, but you never know if Geomon's short time in the spotlight helped spark those conversations between Pokemon and Niantic. But that is where my research ended. It's quite the fascinating timeline to follow. At the beginning, you can see the passion Loki Studios has for Geomon, envisioning it becoming this multiple game franchise that goes beyond mobile games, expanding into PC and console games as well. That is not too far off from what was initially planned for Mino Monsters too. The game became quite the success, at least relative to the small team behind it, and it was successful enough for them to be absorbed by Yahoo, and unfortunately it seemed Yahoo wasn't interested in preserving the Geomon property. I won't say it was 100% Yahoo's decision to leave Geomon behind, because you just don't know, but it does seem like they had a different plan for the studio than what the Loki team envisioned when they worked for themselves. I'm not sure where the team has moved on since then, but I just want to say, thank you guys so much for creating such a fascinating, groundbreaking, memory-making game that I, and many others I'm sure, have cherished since we first played it. You guys did an incredible job. This game is like one of those things that randomly pop in your head maybe once or twice a year, and you just can't help but miss it, whether it was for the thing itself or the time in your life when you were introduced to it, or both. You know, it's the nostalgia for it. That's how this video idea came about when I first started this channel. I just wanted to talk about things that I cared about and found interesting, and nobody has really talked about Geomon, especially recently, and only in small corners of the internet when it does happen, so I really just wanted to shed some light on the game so it doesn't entirely fade into obscurity. And as much as I'd love to see Geomon make a return in some form by some stroke of a miracle, it would probably be incredibly difficult for it to find its legs in this gaming environment. Competition is quite steep on mobile now, and the game's geolocation concept doesn't quite work for stationary play like PC and console, so I don't know. One can still dream though. But that is where I leave the discussion to you guys. I'd love to hear about your experiences with Geomon in the comments section if you played it back then. Let me know what your favorite Geomon is, or if this is your first time hearing about Geomon, what are your impressions of it? Do you think you would have enjoyed it? If you have any additional info on the game, please also share that in the comments as well. The more knowledge we can preserve on the game, the better. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please do like the video if you made it this far, it really does help a lot, so if you're still watching, why not give it a thumbs up? Please subscribe to the channel, that would mean the world to me. I've got many more ideas for videos cooking up, all about games that I care about. They range quite a lot, but I'd love for you to join me for the ride. It'd be great to breach 3,000 subscribers sometime soon. I know we can do it. But that'll do it for me today. Like I said, I'm trying to get videos out as consistently as I can, so please do stay tuned for more. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, thank you so much for watching.